The goal is not to go for days or weeks or months or years without eating. And if you can, that's great. Welcome to Questions with Mike. Today we're going to be answering a question from Susie, who is a pastor and worship leader over at a church in Helsinki, Finland. Susie's question is, what does it look like in your life to live led by the Spirit, taking care of your temple? The context was the mystics who went to great lengths in their own self-care in their pursuit of God, like fasting for extended periods of time, or like other things that they've bent the natural laws in their pursuit of God and kind of disregarding what the normal standard was of taking care of yourself. And I don't know that I'm the expert on this. I'm just going to answer it because they're asking me. And my attitude/posture to this whole conversation is, I think ultimately at the end of the day, the goal is not to go for days or weeks or months or years without eating. And if you can, that's great. I don't think that's the goal. The goal is we want to be led by the Holy Spirit. And whatever we need to do in the natural, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever, in order to stay with Him and continue to keep up with His pace and tempo and rhythm and guidance in our lives, then let's do that. And as we actually follow the Lord, there will be grace and there will be supernatural enablement and there will be phenomena that comes off of those choices because it's inspired by God. If you're going to just out of your own self-will try and affect a certain result, because you've established in your own standards that there's a standard you want to live at that isn't inspired by God, I think that can get dangerous. It can be really negligent or irresponsible or even harmful if it's coming from some kind of self-driven, maybe even egotistical or ambitious place rather than from the inspiration that comes from the Holy Spirit. Now, if it is the Holy Spirit, I'm like, man, follow Him. And if He's like, don't ever eat anything again, then don't eat anything. If it's God, if it's you trying to assert some kind of like level of excellence or superiority or like, I don't know, accomplish some kind of intimacy with the Lord based on those kinds of judgments, I don't know that you're going to experience any level of success anyway. And even if you did accomplish those things without dying, I'm not sure that it's going to lead to the place that you're hoping for. At the end of the day, I think ultimately what you want to do is legitimately question your motive, your intention here. Why is that attractive to you? Why would you want to do those things? Fasting actually has such a supreme and beautiful value when it comes to how we're going to engage and train our own being to respond to and engage with the Lord. So I see value in it and I see that there's worthwhile pursuits in it, but not just for the sake of fasting. The fasting thing is a means to an end. And the whole point of this is intimacy with the Lord. So if that's where you're coming from and then you make these sacrifices and choices in order to engage Him in that place, then by all means, sacrifice away. Train yourself and become submitted to that process of whatever it is that's required of you to engage with Him in that place. And by no means are you earning intimacy with God. You're not going to get closer to Him because of this. At the end of the day, the practices that we're going to undergo are simply us training our senses and our awareness and perception and the posture of our hearts to tap into and align with what God is already doing and for us to engage with Him in an experiential and conscious place. It's beautiful and worthwhile. It doesn't mean you're getting closer to God. He's already part of who you are. Like you guys share identity. You're not going to get any closer than that. But it probably is ultimately to train your senses and your awareness to become in tune with what is already at play in your life and to enjoy it and allow that to profit your experience, which I think is totally worthwhile. Like for example, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day now, and for my whole life, and I'm 31. I've never been a morning person. And I think I'd still consider myself not a morning person. But I've been waking up at 5 a.m. for at least a month now, and I intend on doing this for potentially the rest of my life. I intend on doing this for a while because waking up this early and doing the practices and routines that I've put in place in the morning to set my day right and to get things accomplished that I care about is worthwhile. I don't need to wake up early for the sake of waking up early. Look how amazing I am. I wake up early. It's not a badge of honor or accomplishment. For me, it's a necessary engagement so that I can produce the results and tap into the place that I want to be living from in order to go where I want to go. I don't like waking up at 5, but I love it. Not because waking up early is awesome, but because what happens when I wake up early. Okay, so we want to look at the intention and why we're doing it. And if you're tapping into inspiration, spirit-led actions and choices and sacrificing on behalf of a greater good, then it's probably beautiful. If you're doing it for the sake of, I just don't eat anymore, or I wake up early because I'm awesome or whatever, that's probably not a worthwhile end. We don't want to pursue the supernatural results. We want to pursue the Lord. And in that place, of course, supernatural things will happen and miracles will take place and we'll bend the laws of reality, and that's awesome. But at the end of the day, the goal is enjoying, communing, obeying, loving, appreciating, celebrating who God is, not chasing these results. Like, comment, subscribe, click the dinging bell. If you guys have any questions, put them in a comment below.